Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, watching the stars through the main screen. His ship had been exploring space beyond Earth's solar system for 6 months. The crew was excited because they had found something amazing near Proxima Centauri, signs of alien technology. "Captain, we're getting strange signals," said Lieutenant Amy Clark from her station. "They look like math patterns, but they're coming from ships." Jake felt his heart race. After years of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, they finally had an answer. "Show me," he ordered. The screen filled with images of 5 massive ships. They were unlike anything humans had ever built. The ships were smooth and curved, glowing with soft blue light. They moved in perfect formation, sending mathematical sequences that any intelligent species would recognize. "They're trying to talk to us," whispered Chief Engineer Pete Davis. "This is incredible." Jake opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Horizon. We come in peace and wish to make contact." The response came quickly. A voice spoke in perfect English, though it sounded strange and musical. "Greetings, beings of the third planet. We are representatives of the Galactic Council. I am Commander Zethkari. We welcome you to the galactic community." The crew cheered. First contact was happening, and it seemed friendly. Jake smiled as he replied, "We're honored to meet you, Commander. This is a historic moment for humanity." "Indeed it is," Zethkari said. "However, we must follow proper protocols. We will now board your vessel to conduct biological and cultural assessments. This is standard procedure for all new species." Jake's smile faded. "Board our ship? I don't think that's necessary. We can share information through communications." "I'm afraid you do not understand," the alien commander said, his tone becoming firm. "This is not a request. All new species must be properly evaluated before joining the galactic community. Please prepare for boarding." Amy turned to Jake with worry in her eyes. "Captain, their ships are moving closer. I'm reading weapons charging." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. These aliens were demanding to board his ship like he was a criminal. "Commander Zethkari, we refuse permission to board. We will not allow armed aliens on our vessel." There was silence for a moment. Then Zethkari spoke again and his voice sounded confused. "Refuse. This word is not in our protocols. All species submit to evaluation. It is the way." "Not humans," Jake said firmly. "We don't submit to anyone." Suddenly, bright lights surrounded the horizon. Jake felt a strange pulling sensation as alien technology tried to grab his ship. "They're using some kind of tractor beam," Pete called out. "They're pulling us toward their largest ship." "Like hell they are," Jake growled. "Amy, charge all weapons. Pete, give me everything the engines have." "Captain, we can't fight 5 alien ships," Amy protested. "We can't let them board us either," Jake replied. "If they want to fight, we'll give them one." The Horizon's engines roared to life. Jake's ship broke free from the alien tractor beam and spun around to face the enemy. The alien ship seemed surprised by the sudden movement. "Fire," Jake ordered. Human missiles and energy weapons struck the nearest alien ship. The aliens had clearly not expected resistance. Their ship's shields flickered and failed. The vessel began to spin out of control. "Impossible," came Zethkari's voice over the radio. "No species resist evaluation. This behavior is unknown to us." "You're about to learn a lot about humans," Jake said grimly. 2 more alien ships moved to surround the horizon. They fired strange blue beams that made Jake's ship shake, but didn't seem designed to destroy it. They were trying to disable the human vessel, not kill the crew. "They're not trying to destroy us," Amy realized. "Their weapons are set to capture, not kill." "Ours aren't," Jake replied. "Fire everything." The Horizon's weapons tore into the second alien ship. Unlike the smooth, elegant alien vessels, human weapons were brutal and efficient. The alien ship exploded in a ball of fire and metal. Commander Zethkari's voice came over the radio again, and now it sounded shocked and afraid. "You destroyed the Harmony's light. You killed 300 beings who meant you no harm. You tried to board our ship by force," Jake shot back. "That's an act of war where we come from." "War?" Zethkari repeated the word like it was foreign to him. "We do not understand this concept in the context of first contact. We are here to help you join the galactic community." "We didn't ask to join anything," Amy said into her microphone. "We just wanted to say hello." The remaining 3 alien ships had formed a defensive pattern. Jake could see they were confused and frightened. These aliens clearly weren't used to fighting, especially not against someone who fought back with such violence. "Captain, Pete called out urgently. Our weapons are almost empty and their ships are too strong. We can't win this fight. Jake looked at his crew. These were good people who trusted him to get them home safely. But he also knew that if these aliens captured them, humanity might never be free again. If the aliens thought humans would just submit like every other species, they were wrong. Set a collision course for their command ship, Jake ordered quietly. Sir? Amy stared at him in shock. You heard me. If we're going down, we're taking their leader with us. Send a message to Earth first. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that the aliens think they can force themselves on us and that we need to be ready to fight. Pete's hand shook as he sent the message to Earth. Amy programmed the collision course with tears in her eyes. The horizon turned toward Zethkari's massive command ship and accelerated. Human vessel, what are you doing? Came the panicked alien voice. Teaching you about humanity, Jake said calmly. We'd rather die free than live as your subjects. The alien ships tried to stop the horizon, but it was too late. Jake's ship slammed into the command vessel at full speed. The explosion lit up space like a new star. Pete and Amy managed to escape in the ship's emergency shuttles along with most of the crew. As they flew toward Earth, they carried with them alien technology and a warning. Humanity had just made enemies of the most powerful alliance in the galaxy. The age of human isolation was over. The age of war had begun. High Arbiter Ylandra stood before the great assembly hall on Nexus Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Council. Her crystalline body reflected the soft lights that filled the enormous chamber. Around her sat representatives from 47 different species, all of them confused and frightened by recent events. 6 weeks had passed since the incident with the human ship called Horizon. What should have been a simple first contact had turned into something nobody understood. The aliens had never encountered a species that refused evaluation and chose to fight instead of talk. The emergency session will now begin, Ylandra announced, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. We are here to discuss the human problem. General Throck of the Grim species stepped forward. He was a massive creature with thick armor-like skin and small, angry eyes. The Grim were one of the few warrior races in the Council, though even they hadn't fought a real war in thousands of years. High Arbiter, the situation is much worse than we first thought, Throck began. The humans have attacked 17 of our fleets. They fight like nothing we have ever seen before. Murmurs of fear spread through the assembly. The Council had sent those fleets to establish peaceful contact with Earth and to capture some humans for study. Not one fleet had returned successfully. How is this possible? Asked Veltar of the Zephyrian Collective. His people were peaceful and had never harmed another living being. They are a single-planet species with primitive technology. Our ships are far superior. Throck's expression darkened. Their technology may be primitive, but their tactics are not. They don't fight like civilized beings. They ram our ships with their own vessels. They blow up their own ships to damage ours. Yesterday, a human captain named Ben Taylor destroyed an entire council squadron by flying his ship into our fuel depot. The assembly fell silent. The idea of deliberately destroying yourself to hurt an enemy was completely foreign to them. In galactic civilization, wars were fought with rules. Surrender was always accepted. Death was avoided whenever possible. There must be some mistake, said Ambassador Quethmol of the Peaceful Aquarian Federation. Perhaps they simply don't understand our intentions. We should send a better translator. We tried that, Throck replied grimly. We captured one of their scientists, a female named Dr. Lisa White. She speaks for her species now. Guards brought Dr. White into the chamber. She was a small human with dark hair and intelligent eyes. She looked around at the alien assembly without fear, which surprised many of the council members. Most new species were terrified when first brought before the council. Dr. White, Ylandra said gently, please help us understand your people. Why do they choose violence over peaceful cooperation? Lisa looked directly at the High Arbiter. Because cooperation isn't what you're offering. You're demanding that we submit to your authority without our consent. Where I come from, that's called conquest. But we offer you the benefits of galactic civilization, protested Veltar. Medicine, technology, peace. Why would you refuse these gifts? Because they come with chains attached, Lisa replied firmly. You want to evaluate us, judge us, and decide our place in your society. You assume you have the right to do this because you're more advanced, but advancement doesn't give you the right to rule others. General Throck stepped closer to the human scientist. Your species is destroying council ships and killing thousands of beings. How do you justify this violence? Lisa's eyes hardened. The same way you justify forcing yourselves on unwilling species. You started this conflict when you tried to board our ship by force. Every human death since then is a result of your aggression. We were following standard first contact procedures, Yolandra explained patiently. Every species in the galaxy has accepted evaluation. It is how we maintain peace and order. Every species except us, Lisa said. Maybe that should tell you something about your procedures. In the back of the chamber, an elderly Kethamori archivist named Zalthek was searching through ancient records on his data tablet. His face grew pale as he found what he was looking for. He stood up quickly, his movements urgent. "High Arbiter!" Zalthek called out, his voice shaking. "I must speak immediately. This is critical." Yolandra recognized the archivist and nodded for him to approach. Zalthek hobbled forward, his tablet clutched tightly in his hands. "I have been researching human behavior patterns," he said breathlessly. "Their refusal to submit, their willingness to die rather than surrender, their brutal fighting tactics. It all matches historical records of the Rajahai." The chamber erupted in frightened whispers. The Rajahai were a species that had nearly destroyed the galaxy 12,000 years ago. They had been completely eliminated by the combined forces of 30 species, but only after billions had died. "Impossible," Veltar protested. "The Rajahai were monsters. These humans seem reasonable when they're not fighting." "The Rajahai seemed reasonable too," Zalthek replied, "until they decided that galactic civilization was a threat to their independence. Then they began a war that lasted 3 centuries and nearly ended all life in this galaxy." Dr. White listened to this conversation with growing understanding. "You're afraid that we're like these Rajahai," she said. "You think we might try to destroy your entire civilization." "The thought has occurred to us," Yolandra admitted. Lisa nodded slowly. "Then you understand why we can't trust you. If you destroyed an entire species because they refused to submit, what would you do to us?" The High Arbiter felt a chill run through her crystalline body. The human was right. The Council's own history proved that they would eliminate any species they considered a threat. "And if the humans knew this, Dr. White," Yolandra said carefully, "what does your government intend to do about this situation?" Lisa looked around the chamber at all the alien faces staring at her. "They're preparing for war." "Totalva. They assume you'll try to destroy us eventually, so they're planning to strike first." "But surely they would accept a peace treaty," suggested Ambassador Quethmal desperately. "On what terms?" Lisa asked. "Would you withdraw from human space completely? Would you promise never to interfere with us again? Would you disband your council and leave us alone forever?" The silence that followed was answer enough. The council could not make such promises because they didn't believe any species should exist outside their authority. They saw themselves as the guardians of galactic peace, which meant they had to control everyone. "I thought so," Lisa said quietly. "Then there will be no peace. My people would rather fight the entire galaxy than live under someone else's rules." General Throck stepped forward again. "High Arbiter, we must consider using our most powerful weapons. If the humans are truly like the Rajahai, we cannot allow them to spread beyond their home system." "Those weapons have been banned for 8,000 years, Yolandra protested. "So were the tactics the humans are using," Throck replied grimly. "They are forcing us to remember ways of war we thought we had forgotten forever." Dr. White looked around the chamber one more time. "You're going to try to destroy Earth, aren't you?" Nobody answered her, but she could see the truth in their alien faces. The Galactic Council, for all their talk of peace and civilization, were about to become the very monsters they claimed to protect the galaxy from. And when they did, humanity would be ready for them. President Karen Hayes stood at the podium in the United Nations Emergency Assembly. The large room was packed with representatives from every nation on Earth. The mood was tense and angry. News of the alien peace envoy waiting at Luna Station had spread quickly, and humanity's response was not what the aliens expected. "Fellow leaders of Earth," Karen began, her voice strong and clear. 3 months ago, we learned that we are not alone in the universe. We also learned that these aliens believe they have the right to rule us. Today I am here to tell you that humanity will never accept alien masters." The assembly erupted in applause and angry shouts. Karen waited for quiet before continuing. "The Galactic Council has sent an envoy to Luna Station. They offer us technology, medicine, and membership in their galactic community. They say they come in peace. But their peace comes with a price. Our freedom. Admiral Tony Rodriguez, head of Earth's combined space forces, stepped forward. Madam President, our fleets are ready for Operation Prometheus. We have 150 ships prepared to strike deep into Council territory. The alien technology we captured has been successfully integrated into our weapons systems. Behind the Admiral, Dr. Alex Johnson nodded. His research team had worked day and night to understand the alien technology from the destroyed Council ships. What they had learned was both encouraging and terrifying. The aliens are advanced, but they've grown soft, Alex explained to the assembly. Their ships are built for efficiency and exploration, not war. Their weapons are designed to disable, not destroy. They haven't fought a real war in thousands of years. Colonel Nina Parker, commander of Earth's new shock troops, stood up. My soldiers have tested the new hybrid weapons we've created from alien technology. Unlike the Council's non-lethal tools, our weapons are designed for one purpose: to kill the enemy as efficiently as possible. Karen nodded grimly. The aliens expected us to be impressed by their offer of membership in their council. They thought we would be grateful for their guidance. They were wrong. On Luna Station, Ambassador Quethmol of the Aquarian Federation waited nervously in his ship. He had been chosen for this mission because his people were known for their diplomatic skills. But nothing in his long career had prepared him for dealing with humans. His aide, a young Aquarian named Felnara, approached with a worried expression. Ambassador, we've been monitoring human communications. They're not discussing our peace offer. They're planning to attack us. Quethmol studied the reports with growing alarm. The humans had taken the alien technology from destroyed Council ships and somehow managed to copy it. Worse, they had improved it. Human ships now carried weapons that combined alien energy technology with human firepower principles. This is impossible, Quethmol whispered. No species develops technology this quickly. It should take them decades to understand our systems. Perhaps that's why they're so dangerous, Felnara suggested quietly. Back on Earth, Captain Steve Miller was preparing to lead a reconnaissance mission to Council space. His ship, the UES Defiance, was one of the new hybrid vessels. It looked like a human warship, but it was powered by alien technology and armed with weapons no Council ship was designed to face. Captain, called his tactical officer, Lieutenant Ryan Brooks, we're receiving the mission briefing now. Steve studied the mission parameters on his screen. Earth spy satellites had located several Council military bases within 50 light-years of Earth. His job was to scout these bases and identify their weaknesses. But Steve knew this was just the first step in a much larger plan. Admiral Ben Taylor, who had become famous for ramming his ship into a Council fuel depot, was planning something much more ambitious. Earth's military leaders had studied the Council's weaknesses and found their greatest vulnerability. They depended on massive supply networks to support their peaceful civilization. We're not going to fight them like they expect. Ben had explained to the other commanders. We're going to destroy everything they need to survive. Their shipyards, their supply convoys, their industrial worlds. We'll force them to choose between their comfortable civilization and war with us. On Luna Station, Ambassador Quethmol finally received permission to transmit his peace offer to Earth. He had prepared a generous proposal offering humanity advanced technology, medical treatments that could eliminate disease, and a place of honor in the Galactic Council. President Karen received the transmission in the Oval Office. She listened to the alien ambassador's offer without expression. When it was finished, she turned to her advisors. Their offer? She asked simply. Secretary of Defense Jim Clark spoke first. They want us to submit to their authority. In exchange for technology we can develop ourselves given time. They want us to accept that they have the right to judge us and decide our place in the galaxy, added National Security Advisor Carol Davis. Karen nodded. And our response? Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward. Operation Prometheus launches in 6 hours. Our fleets will hit 12 Council targets simultaneously. We'll show them what human warfare looks like. Karen turned back to the communication system and opened a channel to Luna Station. Ambassador Quethmol's face appeared on the screen, looking hopeful. Ambassador, Karen said calmly, I have reviewed your offer. Excellent, Quethmol replied. I am sure humanity will benefit greatly from joining the galactic community. We reject your offer completely, Karen said firmly. We do not recognize your authority over us. We do not accept your right to judge us, and we will not submit to alien rule under any circumstances. The ambassador's face showed confusion and growing alarm. But you cannot survive without our guidance. Your species is too young, too violent. You need our help to join civilized society. We are civilized, Karen replied coldly. We're just not weak. Your council has mistaken peace for strength and submission for wisdom. You're about to learn the difference. What are you saying? Quethmal asked, though his expression showed he already suspected the answer. I'm saying that if you want a war with humanity, you'll get one. But don't expect us to fight by your rules. Don't expect us to show mercy to those who would enslave us. And don't expect us to stop until every alien who threatens human freedom is dead. The transmission ended. Ambassador Quethmal stared at the blank screen in shock. In his 300 years of diplomatic service, no species had ever rejected council membership. The very idea was unthinkable. 6 hours later, Earth's fleets launched toward council space. Captain Steve Miller watched from the bridge of the Defiance as 150 human warships began humanity's first interstellar war. They carried with them a simple message for the galaxy. Humanity would rather burn the universe down than live as anyone's subjects. The Council had offered peace on their terms. Humanity had rejected those terms and offered war on theirs. Soon the galaxy would learn which offer was more sincere. Admiral Rick Stone stood on the bridge of his flagship UES Vengeance, watching as another Council shipyard burned in the distance. 3 months had passed since humanity launched Operation Prometheus, and the war had become everything the aliens feared and more. Admiral, the orbital facilities are completely destroyed, reported his tactical officer, Commander Julie Martinez. The enemy has abandoned the system entirely. Rick nodded grimly. This was the 15th major Council industrial center his fleet had destroyed. Unlike the aliens, humans didn't fight for territory or resources. They fought to eliminate threats, and they considered the entire Galactic Council to be a threat that needed to be removed permanently. Any survivors? Rick asked. A few escape pods, sir. They're broadcasting surrender signals. Let them go, Rick ordered. I want them to tell their leaders what happened here. On Nexus Prime, High Arbiter Yelandra received the latest reports with growing despair. The human strategy was unlike anything in the Council's military history. Instead of fighting their fleets directly, the humans targeted the infrastructure that supported galactic civilization. General Throck entered her office looking defeated. The proud Grim Warrior had aged years in the past few months. High Arbiter, we've lost contact with the Vegan industrial complex. Admiral Stone's fleet destroyed everything. Shipyards, mining stations, even the civilian research facilities. How many casualties? Yelandra asked, though she dreaded the answer. 18 million beings, Throck replied quietly. The humans gave them 30 minutes to evacuate before they started shooting. Most didn't make it. Yelandra felt her crystalline body darken with grief. The Council had never experienced losses like this. In their peaceful galaxy, warfare was conducted with rules that minimized casualties. The humans seemed to have no such rules. The Aquarian Federation has officially withdrawn from the Council, Throck continued. They say they cannot support a war against beings who fight with such brutality. The Zephyrian Collective is considering the same action. The High Arbiter was not surprised. When human forces had accidentally destroyed the Aquarian home system's primary orbital habitat, killing 3 million civilians, several council members had questioned whether the war was worth continuing. The humans claimed it was a mistake, but Yelandra suspected it was a warning. On Earth, Dr. Lisa White had finally been released from council custody in a prisoner exchange. She now sat in a secure briefing room in the Pentagon, explaining what she had learned about their enemies. They're not evil, she told the assembled military leaders. They genuinely believe they're helping us by forcing us into their society. But they can't understand that we don't want their help. President Karen Hayes leaned forward. What about their military capabilities? Can they defeat us? Lisa shook her head. Not the way they fight now. They're too worried about casualties, too concerned with following rules. But General Throck is pushing them to use weapons they've banned for thousands of years. Admiral Rodriguez frowned. What kind of weapons? Planet killers, Lisa said simply. Devices that can destroy entire star systems. They eliminated the Rajahai species with weapons like that 12,000 years ago. The room fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. If the Council decided to use such weapons, Earth would be their first target. How long before they make that decision? Karen asked. Soon, Lisa replied. Maybe days. They're terrified of us now. Every report from the front lines makes them more convinced that we're another HFY species that needs to be eliminated. In another part of the Pentagon, Dr. Roy Clark was putting the finishing touches on humanity's response to that threat. Project Damocles was humanity's version of a planet killer, but with a twist that would horrify the Council. It's ready, sir, Roy reported to Secretary of Defense Jim Clark. If they use planet killers against Earth, we can trigger a chain reaction that will destroy every star within 50 light-years of Earth. That includes most of their core systems. Jim stared at the weapon specifications with a mixture of awe and horror. How many beings would die? Approximately 400 billion, Roy replied calmly. But it would cripple the Council permanently. Their entire civilization depends on those core systems. Jim realized that humanity was preparing to commit genocide on a scale that would make them the most feared species in galactic history. But if the alternative was human extinction, the choice was clear. Meanwhile, Captain Mary Foster commanded the UES Relentless in a desperate running battle with Council forces near the Centauri system. Her ship was heavily damaged and her crew was fighting for their lives. Captain, we've lost main power, called her engineer, Lieutenant Dan Parker. Weapons are offline and we're venting atmosphere. Mary looked around her damaged bridge. Half her crew was dead or wounded, and the Council ships were closing in for the kill. But she had one option left, and it was typically human. Set collision course for their command ship, she ordered. If we're going down, we're taking them with us. Her surviving crew members didn't question the order. They had all volunteered for this mission, knowing they might not return. The idea of surrender never occurred to them. The Relentless turned toward the largest Council vessel and accelerated. The alien ship tried to move away, but Mary's ship was faster. The collision killed everyone aboard both vessels, but it also eliminated the Council fleet's command structure, allowing other human ships to escape. News of Mary's sacrifice reached Earth within hours. She became a hero to humanity and a symbol of terror to the Council. The aliens simply could not understand a species that would rather die than surrender. On Nexus Prime, the Council emergency session was becoming increasingly desperate. 14 member species had now withdrawn from the Alliance, and more were considering it every day. We must use the planet killers, General Throck argued. The humans have made it clear they will not stop until we are all dead. We cannot defeat them with conventional weapons. If we use those weapons, we become no better than the Rajahai ourselves, protested Veltar of the Zephyrian Collective. How can we justify destroying an entire species? How can we justify letting them destroy galactic civilization? Throck shot back. Look at the casualty reports. Look at what they've done to our worlds. They are not seeking victory. They are seeking our complete annihilation. Yolandra looked around the chamber at the frightened faces of the Council members. 3 months ago, they had been the undisputed masters of the galaxy, confident in their ability to guide and control all other species. Now they were debating whether to commit genocide to save themselves. If we use planet killers against Earth, she said slowly, what makes us think they haven't prepared for that possibility? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had surprised them at every turn, always being one step ahead in their planning. If they were willing to ram ships to win battles, what would they do if their homeworld was threatened? General Throck's aide rushed into the chamber with an urgent message. Sir, we've intercepted human communications from Earth. They're discussing something called Project Damocles. Throck read the report quickly, then looked up with horror in his eyes. They have their own planet killer, but theirs is designed to create a chain reaction. If we attack Earth, they'll destroy dozens of our core systems. The Council members stared at each other in shock. The humans weren't just prepared to die for their freedom. They were prepared to take most of the galaxy with them. Yolandra realized that they were not facing a rational enemy seeking resources or territory. They were facing a species that had decided the galaxy would be free or it would be dead, and they had the weapons to enforce that choice. The war had escalated beyond anything the Council had imagined possible. Soon they would have to make a choice that would determine the fate of the entire galaxy. High Arbiter Yolandra's ship approached Earth's solar system with unprecedented diplomatic immunity signals, broadcasting on all frequencies. 6 months after first contact had gone terribly wrong. She was making a final desperate attempt to prevent the complete destruction of galactic civilization. Her ship, the Sacred Harmony, carried representatives from every remaining council member species. Many had already withdrawn from the alliance, but those who remained understood that this might be their last chance to avoid total annihilation. High Arbiter, her aide Kethmiran reported nervously. The humans are responding to our diplomatic signals. They're directing us to their orbital defense station. Yalandra looked out at the human solar system with a mixture of fear and amazement. In just 6 months, the humans had transformed their home system into a fortress. Massive weapon platforms surrounded every planet. Ships that looked more like flying weapons than vessels patrolled the space lanes. Even the asteroids had been converted into gun batteries. They've militarized their entire system, whispered Ambassador Quethmul. How did they accomplish so much so quickly? Fear is a powerful motivator, Yalandra replied sadly. And humans seem to be very good at being afraid and angry at the same time. The Sacred Harmony docked with Earth's orbital defense station. As Yalandra and her delegation walked through the airlocks, they were shocked by what they saw. The station was clearly built for war, with weapon systems visible everywhere. Human soldiers in powered armor watched them carefully, their faces hidden behind intimidating helmets. President Karen Hayes waited for them in a conference room that looked more like a military command center. The walls displayed tactical information about Council fleet movements and industrial targets. Karen herself looked older and harder than she had 6 months ago. Leading humanity's first interstellar war had changed her. High Arbiter, Karen said without warmth, I understand you have a proposal. Yalandra tried to maintain diplomatic courtesy despite the hostile environment. President Hayes, we come to offer you complete withdrawal from human space and a guarantee of non-interference in your development. That's not enough, Karen replied immediately. The council delegation exchanged confused glances. Ambassador Quethmul stepped forward. What more could you possibly want? We're offering you everything you claim to. Demand. Karen stood up and walked to a window overlooking Earth. You're offering us a temporary peace. While you rebuild your fleets and plan new ways to control us, you're hoping we'll be satisfied with being left alone while you continue to rule everyone else in the galaxy. Yes, Yalandra admitted honestly. The galactic community needs guidance and order. Without the council, there would be chaos. No, Karen said firmly, turning back to face the aliens. There would be freedom. What you call chaos, we call independence. Dr. Lisa White, who had been quietly observing the meeting, spoke up. They don't understand, Madam President. To them, the council isn't a government. It's the natural order of the universe. They can't imagine a galaxy where species are allowed to make their own choices. Yalandra's crystalline body darkened with frustration. Dr. White, surely you can see the benefits of galactic cooperation. Disease has been eliminated. Wars between species have ended. Poverty and suffering are things of the past. For those species that accepted your rule, Lisa replied. But what about those who didn't? What happened to the Rajahai when they refused to submit? The silence that followed was answer enough. Finally, Yalandra spoke quietly. They were eliminated for the greater good. And now you want to eliminate us for the same reason, Karen said. Which is exactly why we can't accept your offer. Admiral Chris Baker entered the conference room with an urgent report. His fleet had just returned from the most successful human offensive yet, destroying Council infrastructure across 12 star systems. Madam President, the Council's industrial capacity has been reduced by 60%. Their military production is virtually non-existent. If we continue current operations for another month, their civilization will collapse completely. The Council delegation stared at the human admiral in shock. They had known the war was going badly, but they hadn't realized how badly. You're destroying the entire galactic community, Veltar protested. Billions of innocent beings will die if our civilization collapses. Then don't let it collapse, Karen replied coldly. Disband your council. Let every species govern itself. Stop trying to control the galaxy. That's impossible, Yalandra said desperately. Without central authority, there would be wars, conflicts, suffering. Maybe, Karen agreed. But it would be their choice to fight or make peace. Their choice to succeed or fail. You've been making choices for everyone else for so long that you've forgotten what freedom means. General Throck, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. What if we agreed to disband the council? What guarantee do we have that you wouldn't then conquer us yourselves? Karen looked at the alien general with something that might have been pity. We don't want to conquer anyone. We just want to be left alone to make our own mistakes and find our own path. But your fleets, Quethmol protested. Your weapons. You've built a military force capable of destroying the entire galaxy. To defend ourselves against you, Admiral Baker replied. If you disband the Council and leave us alone, we have no interest in conquest. But if any species ever again tries to force their authority on humanity, we'll destroy them completely. Ylandra felt the last of her hopes crumble. The humans weren't negotiating for territory or resources or even revenge. They were demanding something the Council could never give. The complete abandonment of everything the Council believed in. You're asking us to abandon our duty, she said quietly. For 12,000 years we have maintained peace and order in this galaxy. We cannot simply walk away from that responsibility. Your duty? Dr. Lisa White laughed bitterly. Your duty is to yourselves and your own species. Let everyone else worry about their own duty. Karen walked back to the window and looked out at the human fleet formations patrolling nearby space. Hi, Arbiter, you have two choices. You can disband the Council voluntarily and return to your home worlds, or you can continue this war and be destroyed. And if some of our species choose to continue fighting? Ylandra asked. Then they'll be eliminated, Admiral Baker said simply. We've learned from your own history, High Arbiter. Sometimes entire species need to be destroyed to protect freedom. You taught us that when you destroyed the Rajahai. The Council delegation realized with growing horror that the humans had learned their lesson too well. They had become everything the Council feared. A species so committed to their independence that they would destroy the galaxy rather than submit to outside authority. 2 days later, Ylandra stood before the Emergency Council Assembly for the last time. The chamber was only half full. Many species had already withdrawn from the Alliance. The humans have made their position clear, she announced. They will accept nothing less than the complete dissolution of the Galactic Council. They view our very existence as a threat to their freedom. Then we fight, General Throck declared. We use the planet killers and end this threat before it spreads to other species. And then they trigger their doomsday weapon and take most of us with them, Ylandra replied sadly. We would win a dead galaxy. The vote was closer than anyone expected, but in the end, survival won over pride. The Galactic Council voted to dissolve itself rather than face mutual annihilation with humanity. Within a month, 47 species had retreated to their home worlds. The great alliance that had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years simply ceased to exist. Captain Luke Morrison, brother of the man who had started it all, stood on the bridge of humanity's first deep space colony ship. His mission was to explore the territories once controlled by the Council and ensure that no species ever again tried to rebuild that alliance. As his ship flew past the ruins of a former Council starbase, Luke thought about his brother Jake. The man who had refused to let aliens board his ship had started a war that ended an entire civilization. Captain, his navigation officer called out, we're approaching the former Zephyrian territory. They're broadcasting a message. Let's hear it, Luke said. The gentle voice of a Zephyrian spoke across space. Human vessel, we greet you in peace. We seek no conflict and claim no authority over others. We wish only to live in harmony on our world and ask that you respect our independence as we respect yours. Luke smiled. Finally, an alien species that understood what humans had been fighting for all along. Reply that we have no quarrel with any species that respects the independence of others, he ordered, but warn them that if they ever try to recreate the Council or impose their authority on other species, we'll be back. The galaxy was free at last. It had cost the Council their civilization and humanity their innocence, but freedom was never cheap. And if any species ever forgot that lesson, the humans would be there to remind them. The age of galactic empires was over. The age of independent worlds had begun.